In 1998 was brought to light the film The Truman Show, or A Live Life, starring Jim Carrey. In this film, themes like philosophy and psychology come into play, which have influenced thousands of people to this day. Lots of those people who saw this film as mere spectators developed a quite strange psychological syndrome. Today, we will analyze the depth of this film and meet this strange Truman syndrome. This film begins by showing us Truman's life. A man who dedicates himself to selling insurance whom appears to live the perfect life, where he is married and surrounded with good friends and neighbors, as well as co-workers. But he's a man who hides the real meaning of the movie. Truman is a word composed by true man, meaning itself a real man, which in his life, the only real thing is him. Just as Neo on the Matrix film, Truman begins to acknowledge that there are strange things happening in his world he lives in. Even though he is imperfect, followed by various strange events, he begins to think that there are various conspiracies against him whom he vigil his steps, or even worse, they control him, and he's right. Truman is caged in a fictitious world since his birth. He was deposited in an enormous television studio that was transmitted 24 hours a day, somewhat like a reality show, without the main character being aware of it. All of Truman's life was a false reality since birth, and he was observed 24 hours by millions of viewers. All of Truman's friends and family were actors that were contracted to work on the television show. Later in the film, we meet Christoph, the creator and architect of the television program, whom has controlled all of Truman's life. In this film, we can scout several allegories of our daily life. The majority of people are part of what we can call a false society, where every individual acts out its role as if it were a movie. We are continuously bombed with products and promotions, as it occurs in the Truman Show film. What appears to be a perfect life for certain people could be a false illusion, for upon their eyes it's a form of controlling the mind. The film shows us how situations of the daily living can manipulate our environment. For example, Truman was afraid to sail. The creators of the program induced this fear after the supposed death of his father in the sea. We can also observe in the film how they provided continuous messages against traveling by plane, for it would create a false fear of him leaving the place and maintain control over him. This is a clear analogy of the news and press of certain countries, the ones who transmit news with the sole purpose of spreading fear on the population and control us in order to maintain an economical, political, and religious system without asking ourselves what is hidden behind the curtain of this play we call society. In one of the scenes of the movie, Christoph, the creator of the television show, was being disputed, for his actions were being considered cruel, maintaining Truman as a prisoner of the television studio. The answer was the following:
he was absolutely determined to discover the truth. There's no way we could prevent him. I think what distresses you, really, caller, is that ultimately Truman prefers his cell, as you call it.
In this scene, we can perceive this form of thought used in film like The Matrix, and it's as follows. Each person has the capacity to find himself or herself and accept the fact that reality is a mere illusion but prefer to maintain as part of the system. This thought can be applied to our reality. As a child, we were programmed by our parents, whom were programmed by their parents, accepting everything that the system offers without questioning it. Our religious views will always depend on our place of birth, as the same as our political views and our life goals. We are so accustomed to the social paradigm that we never stop to question how true it can really be. Just like Truman, we can be a part of a society that controls us without noticing, or even worse, that we wouldn't want to discover the truth. At the end of the film, we can find the protagonist trying to escape from this society, finding a wall, realizing that everything was a lie. In that moment, Christoph directs himself to Truman from the sky, as if God were speaking to him. This is a clear reference of the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche, whom said that in order to continue and find our purpose in life, we would have to leave God behind. When Truman turns his back to the Creator, leaving behind a world created to control him, he's accepting completely unpredictable reality. Although the religious implications this scene has upon, it can also be an analogy of the people that control the society we live in, and that the only way of being truly free is turning our backs to the system. Although we can find different references of our society and learn of the philosophy of this movie, it has provoked mental syndromes. In various places around the world after this film, there has been discovered a syndrome called Truman delirium. This syndrome creates a sense of persecution, in which the victim thinks that everything surrounding him is based on a television program, just like The Truman Show, in which all of the people in his environment lie to him or her, and that he or she is the protagonist of a television show that is being viewed by millions of people. There is in fact an official record of 40 people who actually suffer this syndrome in countries like the United States and the UK. The psychiatrists Joel Gold and his brother Ian from the state of New York in the United States informed that this syndrome is mostly perceived by men from the ages of 25 to 34 years of age. One of their patients in 2002 assured that the 9/11 attack was a spin of the plot of his story and that he lived in a program like Truman. Disorders like these are often known as the delirious or the paranoid psychosis, what can be known as a disease that can destroy a person's life. The philosophy behind this movie is an interesting form. We should be aware and cautious because people can take it very seriously and believe that, as presented in this film, their lives is a program of whom they can't escape. Tell me what you believe of the philosophy behind this film, and what do you think that might have taken these people to believe that they are being part of a program where they are the main protagonists. If you've liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and share. If you still haven't, don't forget to subscribe, and remember, don't assume anything. Question everything.